When I first got into that, I was probably one of the first, I would say, 5 people in the United States that was building Corvette RestoMods, and I was amazed at the comments that original NCRS or Bloomington Gold guys would say to me. They would tell me, 63 Corvettes at the time were the big thing for me. I felt like it was the best coupe. I had to build the 63 coupe. And my gosh, the original restoration guys, they would come up to you and say nearly anything. You have destroyed the Holy Grail. It took me a few years to get to the point where I had sold cars for enough money that I could say, I haven't destroyed anything. My name is Jeff Hayes. My business name is Jeff Hayes Customs. I live in Bloomington, Indiana, and I build Corvette RestoMods. This year at Scottsdale, I built a pair of cars, a 67 convertible, which is the king of the hill for convertibles of the mid-year Corvette range. A lot more desirable than any of the other convertibles because it's the last year. There's a lot of things done on those cars that the previous cars don't have. And then for the coupe, of course, the 63 split window, kind of the icon of Corvettes, or certainly the icon of the C2 Corvettes. So my thought was the absolute best coupe that was ever built and the best convertible of the C2 Corvettes, and possibly always. I had really good success in the last probably 5 to 6 years with Barrett-Jackson. I feel like a lot of that was driven by the idea that I've done things that other guys have not done. Different wheel combination, different chassis combination, more elegant interior, more lighting in the interior, and so on. So in an effort to continue to improve and enhance what I'm able to sell at market at Barrett-Jackson, I thought, well, I've never seen anybody build an identical pair of cars for that auction, and I felt like they needed to be same color, same interior, same wheels, same drivetrain, chassis, truly identical cars, only the best coupe and the best convertible. A lot of the custom touches on these cars are, the ride and drive of an original 63 or 67. They really have a sense of crudeness to them. So for us, the build starts with a good chassis. Art Morrison, in my opinion, has the best chassis out there. They're completely engineered and designed per car. That helps it a lot. We buy our engines straight from GM, so it has a brand new computerized fuel injected engine. So anyone that's had an old car, carbureted car, pump the gas and hope it starts. When it starts, feel fortunate. You're gonna smell a little bit like gas or fuel. You're gonna have a few issues. Will it start when it's hot? And I come out of the restaurant with my wife and some of those things. So the custom part of these cars is a lot of updating, upgrading. The air conditioning, the air conditioning on these cars originally was good, but they have so much better stuff available now. And then simple things like color combinations. They were very limited back then to 5 or 6 colors and 63 or 7. Those cars were done the best of their ability back then, but now when you've got a broad spectrum of just different leather hides and combinations, that's the big benefit to having a custom car, is that you can put a combination together that no one else has. I've changed it up and gotten away from the red, black, silver so much on the colors. Had real good success with that. It's changed the market a little bit for me, kind of makes my cars a little more distinct. Choosing a color is always really difficult. The way I really prefer to choose a color is see it on a car, because you have a much bigger spray out, you got different angles and rolls of the body and so on. So I was in Florida, in Naples, Florida, and they have Ferrari dealerships and Aston Martin, Bentley, all the nice dealerships are there. So I typically go around to all those, look around, get ideas. They have a huge car show down there in February called Ferraris on 5th. And 5th Avenue is the somewhat of the Rodeo Drive section of Naples where all the real nice restaurants and dining are. They shut that street down and they have a huge Ferrari show. It's been opened up to all cars now, but it's really high-end cars. So I went there to kind of study colors. I came across a Ferrari that had this pearl white on it. It has sort of a creamy look to it, a little bit off-white. But it's called Bianca Fuji. Really, really nice color, but as you would expect, very difficult to get that paint code spray out. That was more of a challenge than what I expected, but I was able to get the information, get the exact color, and then we came back, sprayed it on some Corvette panels, and it was perfect. So the color is really, really unique, but beautiful, very high-end looking. Some of the challenges were, for example, on a 67 Corvette, the best look is a big block hood. Okay, the big block hood incorporates a second color that's known as a stinger. So having a stinger and an additional color on the outside of the car helps the look of a 67 Corvette a lot, but with a 63, there isn't any of that. So there are guys that will paint the raised portion of a 63 hood. I don't really care for that look personally. So trying to come up with a way to add color to the front of the 63 was challenging. What we chose to do is we have these CNC machined billet hood grills that are incorporated in all those 63 hoods. So we took and painted those hood grills the exact color as the stinger on the 67, and then we sanded off the top and had the top polished to match the surface on the valve covers of both cars. But it just throws enough color into the hood of the 63 tastefully to match the stinger. So that was a challenge on it. Personal taste for me was, to me, the 67 convertibles really need side pipes. They just have that iconic look. Obviously, being a RestoMod Corvette, you can do anything you want to each year, but in 63, they did not have side pipes. So I felt like it was important to the 63 to put rear exhaust on it. So we hand built in here the exhaust on that 63 to come out the back and not do the side pipes. So we installed the factory rocker panels that is on a 63 Corvette, and then we had those polished, and then the accent color that's on the wheels and the stinger, that was all put on the rocker covers, and the same on the side pipe covers of the 67, just to give it all that, same but different look. I'm always looking for ways to improve these cars. Last year's car was beautiful, so it's your nature to always one up and step up as far as quality goes. We really like the LED lighting. The LED lighting we've incorporated in the doors. It shines down on the ground when you open the car door. You can see to get in and out. We've lighted our footwells for years with LEDs, which makes it nice and gives the car a nice rich look. One of the things I've wanted to do for a few years that I did on both these cars was the door sills. Most of the Bentleys and Mercedes now, when you buy a car and you open the door, it says Bentley or Mercedes as soon as you open the door, and has a real nice touch or high-end look there. So we had designed some new door sills, had them manufactured, and then made changes to the cars to be able to put that lighting in there. You know, the factory door sills have a certain thickness to them. So I worked with the machine guy and said, this is what we want to come up with. It was really challenging at first to get the raised ribs on the door sills that we wanted with the opening for the Corvette script. And then there was some thickness issues. So it took a couple of trial and error situations to get the door sills machined down to a point where they just had exactly the right look that they needed to have, but were functional in the point where they weren't touching the doors or having any issues with that. But at the end result is perfect. Now when you open the doors, it illuminates Corvette in the Corvette script. It's the same script on the emblems, the valve covers, all that stuff. Another thing that I felt like we needed to upgrade was most people are storing these cars and driving them randomly, you know, as a privilege to them. I was down in Florida once again in Naples, and the new Ferraris have come out with a magnetic battery tender that just you just get it within an inch of that, and it magnetizes it, pulls it and locks it in place, has a little pin that indexes it so everything is safe and right on it. So we got a hold of some of that Ferrari technology and put this battery charging system or tender system maintainer on both of these cars. So if you have a new Ferrari, you're very familiar with it, but it's a real nice way to store that charging system comes with these cars. Just constantly trying to upstage things, you know, create things on them that will help. Barrett-Jackson has, I've been with them since 2009. First car I sold at Barrett-Jackson was 2009. You know, it took years of trust and working together with them to propel our cars into, you know, kind of like the limelight. Barrett, I think, got to the point where, you know, when you sell a car there, if they don't get calls on your cars that, hey, I've got issues and that type of thing, and then that builds trust from Barrett-Jackson and you, and then that leads to them being able to promote you a little more. They start trusting your ability, and I think Barrett has got to the point where they trust our ability, and we would never do anything to jeopardize that. But they're an outstanding company. They do what they say, and they say what they'll do, and they've been excellent as far as marketing for the cars. I got hooked up with a consignment guy several years ago. Mike McCall is his name. Works for Barrett-Jackson. He's been outstanding for me to work with. He has you know, made suggestions to me and helped me along the way. That has worked very well for Barrett-Jackson and our cars as well.
85, now $1 million.
We're creeping up on it. And there it is, $1 million.
Boy, that is every consignor's dream.
That is staggering, but not entirely unexpected. 1M on the sold sticker.
Last year, our Champagne car sold at Scottsdale, set a record, brought a lot more awareness to us, to me, the company. We don't build custom cars for people. The only way that you can get one of these cars is buy it at Barrett-Jackson Scottsdale. Had lots and lots of calls this year. We still hold steadfast to the fact that we do not sell them outside of Barrett-Jackson. People will try about anything to make that happen, but we want to have that time to continue to improve and improve on our every facet of the car. If the cars are demanding that kind of price, then we want to go to great extremes to make sure that quality is improved and deliver it to the customer. I mean, it should be very obvious on the cars. If someone's willing to pay that type of price for a car, I mean, to me, everything quality-wise has to be to a whole, different level. Obviously, I think that's how you are able to make that happen is with the quality, but some of it is just setting yourself apart too. Probably one of the greatest compliments I get is that of Jeff Hayes' car. And people can usually tell the difference in looking. To me, that's one of the greatest compliments that we get is they just have a different stance, a different look, a different tire wheel fit. All those things play into that. So we want to continue to improve any of that and every bit of that we can to continue to set the standard and set us apart. When I first got into that, I was probably one of the first, I would say, 5 people in the United States that was building Corvette RestoMods, and I was amazed at the comments that original NCRS or Bloomington Gold guys would say to me. They would tell me, 63 Corvettes at the time were the big thing for me. I felt like it was the best coupe. I had to build the 63 coupe. And my gosh, the original restoration guys, they would come up to you and say nearly anything. You have destroyed the Holy Grail. It took me a few years to get to the point where I had sold cars for enough money that I could say, I haven't destroyed anything. This did not have an original engine. This car had been, hit in the front, could not be replaced with the original fiberglass, so we bought a brand new front end. We put a new front end on it. We made changes to this car to improve it. We would never take a really nice numbers matching correct car and tear it apart and build a Corvette RestoMod in it. We have enough respect for the cars and the car culture to not do that. That I believe has become an educating thing for the guys that were critical at first. I think a lot of them know now and have respect for what goes on. There is a big need and a big want for these cars. The cars are very drivable. The 2 cars that are selling in January, they both have 30, 40 miles on them. I drive them, on our local streets, and we put them through about any kind of pace that we think someone's going to. It's very interesting to me that, a few of the people that have my cars, they drive them a lot. I have a guy in Florida that owns a car that's got 8,000 miles on it. He drives it to car shows, he drives it, to work, drives it a lot. These cars have, since the prices went up a lot on them, you find that people maybe are driving them a little less, but at first it was really amazing to me because people, the spectrum was, we're gonna drive the car. It seems like now as the values have went up, people are saving them more, but we've sold them from, everybody that, as I said, that drives them to work to the people that, 2 years later the car's got 100 miles on it and they just drove it to a few car shows. I've been fortunate enough to be in a few of these, the term is a man cave. You get to a guy's really neat man cave that has gas pumps and neon signs and all that, and your cars are sitting in there, and these guys are walking around drinking martinis and smoking cigars and enjoying the beauty of the car. There's a lot, a lot that goes into that. That part is really enjoyable, that they think enough of that car that they're willing to put it on a pedestal, so to speak, and enjoy it in that way. I'm the age that I want to start slowing down on these cars, and obviously that had a lot to do with me wanting to only do cars to sell at Barrett-Jackson, Scottsdale. So in the last couple of years, I've had a lot of people. I have numerous people that have multiple cars of mine. I mean, I have several people that, I have one guy that has 6 of them, guy down in Florida. I have probably at least 5 people that have 3 of my cars. But it's really interesting to me that I've been asked probably 3 times in the last 6 months that, when do you think you'll be completely done? And I've asked these guys, why is that important to you? And they say, well, we've getting offers on your cars that we have, and we don't have any desire to sell them, but we know that when you quit completely, that we really believe that the market will go up and the demand for your cars will go up. That's very flattering to me. I think that's really, I know in the art world, that is a very common thing, and I believe that this is a kind of a small expression of art, what we do with creating these cars. But it's very interesting that people think enough of your cars that they are willing to hold on to them no matter what, and they're waiting on the price to go up, because let's face it, that makes us all feel good. If we have something that's going up in value and we still enjoy it, it's a win all the way around. I'm not sure if both cars will go to the same person. It's going to be really interesting to see that. I would love to see that happen. I think to be able to display these cars or have both of these cars and enjoy the best convertible and the best coupe, and to possibly display them in a man cave or someone's building would be incredible. I'm gonna hand that baton to Barrett-Jackson. That's up to them whether they sell them both to one person. They're gonna sell separately, but it would be very interesting, I think, to see the same person own them. But if not, then possibly they'll meet again someday, but it would be a good thing to see them end up in the same spot. We'll find out in January.